Okay, so one of the questions I get a lot is how do I brief the LLMs and how do I, you know, be so productive? So here's me showing that. So basically, this is a brief for an HTML service that I want to improve, and I'll create a UI for it. So what I do is I actually have a way to create a dump of all the source code, which is here. I got this iterative flow development, which is a different story, but this is what I want to operate, and this is actually the files of another repo that has the example I have. So what I do is, you can see I did give the instructions of follow this, and then they said don't write any code, let's map the architecture. So he did, right? So he mapped this out, he mapped the architecture, it was pretty cool, right? In fact, you could see here, made a little mistake on formatting, right? Because he kind of broke, this is Claude's UI bug, right? And then, he mapped some good stuff, made some nice diagrams, keep going, map the versions, some questions, blah, blah, blah. So this is my next feedback that I provided. So I then review that, gives really good feedback, map things across, provide information, prioritize certain things, give more guidance, and then say, okay, but even before we do it, let's map up the architecture, make sure you get it right. So then he does correctly, maps these things a bit better, right? Provides information, goes to code. And then I say, good, right, this is good. Again, some more information about the playground, etc., which is what we're building, some palette colors, etc., all nice and good. And then he basically says, this is great, now can you put this in an artifact? So there's a bug now in Claude again that is supposed to go into an artifact, which it didn't. So it puts like this, right? So it's actually what I wanted, but the annoying thing is that because it didn't put an artifact, we cannot make changes, right? So this is actually really good, right? This is a consolidation of the document. Just to be clear, this is the brief to create the code, right? This is not the code. This is the brief that I will then give to the LLM to actually write the code on this, right? So you can see it goes nicely here, really nice, complete, but then, what I have to do is I copied this at the end, and I was like, okay, let's try again. So I literally copied that information into this new chat here, and I basically said, all right, can you take all of that stuff? So I actually, in this particular chat here, I actually provided the information of the previous one. So what I've done was I say, hey, can you take the code from the other one and put an artifact? Again, it was not able to do it. Quite annoying. Again, there's a bug here. You can see this is supposed to show an artifact. So he puts all that stuff, and I was like, all right, let's try, maybe see if you can make changes, right? So what I then do is I provided this very detailed information here, which is there, where I explain, it's great, but can you make some changes? And if you extract, basically, if you read the IDF methodology, which I give it again, make sure you understand. So this was something that was quite wrong. He got the version mapping wrong, right? And I said information. And in a way, he correctly understood, and he creates the document. So again, he didn't reuse the document. So in a way, this is Claude being quite inefficient. So they use way more tokens here than they should. But the good news is that when I look at the diff between one version and the other one, it's actually spot on, right? So it changed, in this case, from isolated environments to incrementals. So these changes are freaking good, right? And by the way, this document is about, 2,000, and 63 lines of code, right? So it's amazing that way created, and in a way, those changes were actually really good. So there you go, right? So this is the level of detail that you need to provide, and just take into account this file here, right? That you can see here. This is the brief to create the code. This is not the code. This is literally the brief that I'm now going to give on a clean LLM session. And this is what I then give it to then write the code together with the fundamental backend code that you need. But this makes a massive difference in the quality of the materials that you get and in the, how everything fits together.